Swami Mahadevananda talks about the legacy of Swami Vishnu-devananda and everything that he has done. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Told us, even after many years, that he was teaching the teacher's training sport. That's why the beginning was 6 weeks. And it starts 8 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we're still talking. We were like zombies. We couldn't absorb, the tremendous amount of knowledge, and also specific knowledge. But one thing is that he had the spirit. And that's the most important thing. He was a spiritual person. Swami Vishnu-devananda was a spiritual person. And he taught us the spirit. And of course, in 4 weeks, it's a little short. But if you open to it, the spirit comes through. Once those seeds are there, then you can go around, to give light to a candle. It takes another candle. So if you have a little light of the spirit of the teacher, Swami Vishnu, then when you go outside, technically you might not be prepared. You might not. Depends on your level of spiritual evolution. But as a person, you collect some spirit to Swami Vishnu, and you give the spirit to someone else. And that is then the most important thing. We are in Kali Yuga, the Iron Age. Nobody has time to spend 12 years in the Gurukula system. But Swami Vishnu understood and always kept repeating the same, because people ask the same question as you did. So what can you learn in 4 weeks? Technically not much. He said if you're lucky, if you take 10% away from it, but 90% will stay with you throughout your lifetime. And that's the spirit of yoga. The practice of yoga, people do not understand. The new so-called new consciousness of the world. Because through the practice of asana, they look, 5%, maybe 10% physical, 90% are beyond that, even though people call it exercise. On the yoga asana, which is the simplest, the kindergarten of yoga, 90% is beyond that, because if the ego again would recognize it, but it would stop it. Through the asana, pranayama, meditation, chanting, something comes from inside. So Swami Vishnu put these seeds inside us. He broke our own coconut and put something there. Now technically, we might not be able to teach yoga as a person that comes out after 12 years from the Gurukula system. But the difference is, we might have the spirit, and he might not. And that's for me was the most important thing, the spirit that he put behind. The seeds of intuition he puts behind. And that's for 4 weeks, quite intensive, as some people can testify, are good enough to put the first seeds of spirituality. Then the rest is practice and practice. And in the end, of course, is Guru's grace or God's grace. But that's how it works. Okay. You realize, some used to tell a story. The apple seed. You take an apple seed, and literally you can crush between the 2 fingers. Okay? It's nothing there. But if you put the apple seed in the right ground, the right time, in the right place, and you follow a proper cultivation, a big apple tree will come with many apples that you replant. And actually you can cover the earth. But at the beginning it was a simple apple seed, but potentially has the power to cover the earth. So these simple teachings from Vishnu, asana, pranayama, etc., the 5 points, are very deceptively simple. You think, well, everybody can do asana, everybody can do pranayama, everybody can do some chanting, everybody can be vegetarian. But that's the seed, that's the spirit. In practicing them, you develop this apple seed in a big tree. And then more trees, and more apples, more, etc., etc., etc. But then becomes practice. So the Guru say, I can teach you how to eat with fork and knife or with your hands. But if I eat using my hands, you stop. So we have to start doing something yourself. So that's the sadhana that we have to do. And the sadhana looks very simple. After a while, I say, oh my God, there's much more than I thought here. And you keep practicing. But that's the spirit, not the academy that people give outside to get a piece of certificate or whatever. Okay? And this was the spirit of Swami Vishnu, which is still alive. If the spirit was not there, the spirit of Swami Shivananda, Swami Vishnu, none of us would be here, guaranteed. So obviously he must have done something about it. Yeah, speak. Nobody's there. Not this way. Right, that's it. We asked him this question at the beginning. He said very clearly, I came to elevate the vibratory level of the West. And that's why we're sitting here. I think he did a pretty good job. If today, let's say in North America, you know, 1 out of 10 people is practicing yoga. They're not discussing the type of yoga, but 1 out of 10 is doing it. But when he first came here, who knew in 1956, 57, who knew about yoga? Except maybe a few professors of anthropology that came to India, to Tibet. They knew something about it, but the majority of mankind has no idea. Now, for instance, in the next generation we have TDC now, they're all on the 20s, 25. And for them, yoga is a matter of fact. For me, yoga, first time I heard in London, I said, what kind of nonsense talking about? While now, being vegetarian and practice yoga is more part of our social life. Why? Because someone put some good seeds on the ground and start to germinate. We call it new consciousness. And when we first came here, there were no yogis. Then all the Babas and the Rajas and the great yogis came. But when we first came alone, in 52, nobody was here. Like the first one was Swami Vivekananda that came for a while. Then came Swami Yogananda. Number 3, the trailblazer was Swami Vishnu. And who knew yoga about 40 years ago? Even Hatha yoga. And now the yoga, or exercise as they call it wrongly, everybody knows. It's a household name. Who created all that? They don't see it came from Swami Vishnu. Luckily, I just saw from the beginning, when I went to Montreal, there was not one single vegetarian restaurant. Or when you travel with the airlines, you ask for a vegetarian meal, they ask you like some ET. Now, any airlines will give you, oh, okay, vegetarian food, okay, this vegetarian. There are about 10, 15 different choices. Who created all that? They don't see. But when we are sitting here with 10 people and then we became 100,000, we train organization more than 30,000 people now. 30,000 teachers trainings. If any one of them talks to 1,000 people of yoga in their lifetime, how many millions are we going to reach? And who did all that? Even though physically we might not be here, but spiritually he's 100% of it. That's Swami Vishnu, Swami Shivananda.